Well, there we are. I'm joined on Talking Pints by Ipswich Town and England legend. Not bad being a legend, is it, Terry Butcher?
A living legend as well.
Absolutely.
That's quite nice.
Cheers. Very good to see you. Now, very much a Suffolk man, Lowestoft grammar boy, obviously a good footballer when you were young. What this crowd may not know, but they're going to love this, is that you rejected Norwich City because you wanted to play for it.
It was a pretty easy thing to do, to be honest. Yeah. I did have a trial with them, and I had to wear the kit for the trial match, and I did feel physically sick, to be honest. So I had a shocker. I didn't want to go back, but luckily I've been invited for a trial for 4 weeks with Ipswich after that. But the Norwich coach said, come back. I thought, no chance, I'm coming back to you.
This Norfolk-Suffolk rivalry is clearly...
I love Norfolk, but not so much Norwich yet.
And you were a fan of Ipswich?
Yeah.
Before you had those trials?
A big fan, yeah. We're living in Lowestoft. It was a lot of blue shirts up there, a lot of Ipswich fans, and obviously with Ipswich's decline into League One, there's a lot more Norwich fans now, so obviously you want to try and put it right to rectify that, yeah.
What a club it was. I mean, think of the names that were here at Ipswich. You know, Alf Ramsey, Bobby Robson. And, hey, you know, when you played for Ipswich, I mean, you won the UEFA Cup. I mean, it was quite incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was incredible. We got pretty close to the FA Cup final, lost in the semi that year, and obviously finished second in the league to Aston Villa. But I wasn't taken on by Ipswich until I was 17. No academies in those days, just schools of excellence. But to play for your team that you support, having watched on the terraces and grown up with the club, and it was, you know, I was in awe. And when I was signed by Ipswich, I'm actually in the same dressing room or mixing or playing against my heroes. I mean, it's pretty hard not to just watch them play and not do your job. So I had to learn to run around and kick them. Yeah.
I think you did do your job. There's not much doubt about that.
I kicked a few. Put it that way. Yeah.
Well, you were. Yeah, you were there at centre back, and yeah. I mean, well, weren't you what a defender is supposed to be?
Yes, I didn't have my socks over my knees, and I didn't have tattoos and earrings and big hair and all that kind of thing now, and all that sort of thing. Yeah, you did what you did. You defended, and there was an incident in the game on last Saturday, when one player kicked the ball onto the roof of the stand, and I turned around to my friend next door and I said, I made a career out of that, kicking the ball on that stand. I got rid of a few balls that way, because in those days you could kick the ball out and it would take ages for a ball to come on, so you got a breather. But nowadays it's like multi-ball, the balls keep coming on and then straight back on. I wouldn't have played today, you know.
You were clearly doing very well at Ipswich, and you finished up, I mean, 77 caps for England there in defence. It's a big, long England career, isn't it? It's 10 years,
yeah.
3 World Cups.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Pretty good.
But I was under Bobby Robson's tutelage really from '76 when he was Ipswich manager to 1990. So 14 years I served under the great man, and he used to live near me in Ipswich. So we used to bump into each other when we were walking the dogs, and he was so engrossed in the football. He didn't even know where his dog was at times, because he just wandered off, and he was talking about the game and everything else. And I used to walk back to my house, which was on the road up to his house, and I used to go down the drive and walk home to go in. And he used to follow me with his dog and still talking football all the time. And I actually then opened the door to go in the house, and he started to follow me in the house. And I said, Gaffer, I said, you live up there, I live here. Good night. So, yeah. But people used to say I got into his team because I used to walk his dog and cut his grass. But I used to cut his grass, but that was about it, yeah.
I mean, obviously a huge honour to play for England. But, I mean, when you look back at it all, those World Cups, I mean, Italia 90. Yeah. Italia 90. Now, I've got a little bit of a mini grudge against you, Terry. I was feeling so confident about you guys. You were doing so well. I bought a ticket on the black market to go to the final in Rome, and I bought it just before the semi-finals. And you lot lost on penalties. I mean, you owe me a fortune.
Yeah, I do, actually, yeah.
No, it was a bit, wasn't it? But again, it's the curse of penalties, isn't it?
It is the curse of penalties. Another bad decision by you when it comes to that, yeah. No, it was... I mean, I was taken off before that. I was substituted, so I couldn't take a penalty anyway. But they did practice the penalties. But the Germans are ruthless when it comes to that. And like I said to you before the show, I was in Russia, watched the Colombia game on penalties. England won on penalties, and you're thinking, well, that's it now. We've broken the hoodoo. And then, of course, we get to the Euros and we lose again on penalties. So, but we're so close. And I think with Gareth now and with the team now, like with the ladies now, playing great football, getting into finals, winning them with the ladies, not winning them with England, but at least getting to finals. I think now we're at a stage where we can be really talked as one of the real favourites to go and win something. So, yeah.
So, World Cup coming up later this year. Good side.
Yep.
Every chance.
Every chance. It'll be really weird going out to Qatar. I've been to some funny places to watch World Cups. But Qatar will certainly be different. But yeah, with the heat, not the heated stadiums, but the air-conditioned stadiums now and everything else like that, it'll be a different proposition. And I think it's coming right in the mid-season because England notoriously wilt when it comes to summer World Cups because at the end of a long season they're just completely knackered, to be honest, mentally and physically. So I think during the season they're going to be fresher, they're going to be sharper, as are other teams, of course, other countries. But I think with England this will matter more.
Now, famously, of course, there is this incredible photograph of you, and it'll never leave you, and nor should it, of the bloodied, the bloodied Terry Butcher with the headband on, and it was a game, wasn't it? It was one of the qualifying games, wasn't it, where it happened?
The 6th of September 1989 in Stockholm, Sweden. Not that I remember it much, to be honest.
Well, if you ever look at the picture on the telly, you can remind yourself of it.
Yeah. That was the last time I was sober that night, to be honest. Because I actually went to, because after the doctor had stitched my head up again, we went to the airport to fly back, and I actually bought the whole press contingent a drink. That's how much of a knock on my head I had. But luckily in those days there was only about 10 people, so now there would be about 110, so I'll be broke.
And what was that, a clash?
Yeah, I went to head the ball a long way, and that's what you used to do in those days, 50, 60 yards easy. And I thought I'll give this a bit of Timson, and boom, and just smash it. And unfortunately, the Swedish striker popped up in front of me and I smashed his head. He got cut as well, but not as bad as me.
Oh, I mean, ups and downs, of course, of sport. I mean, the highs of, UEFA Cup and the incredible runs in the World Cup you had. What's it like as a professional sportsman? When that semi went wrong, for example, in 1990, how bad are those downs?
They're pretty bad, but I think we had the sort of bonus of going longer or further than we'd ever gone before, and I think we lifted the whole country. We didn't know that at the time out there because we didn't have the pictures, the BBC and ITV and everything else like that. We didn't have that out there, so we didn't know. But when we got back to Luton, it was like 250,000 people on the streets and everything else like that. It was just amazing. It really did strike home what we'd done. So just to play for England is an unbelievable experience. I can't put it into real words, but to stand there with the national anthems played and singing the song, wow. Well, I'm welling up now. It feels really emotional. It's just the best feeling in the world. And to be captain is pressure as well, but it's not like cricket and rugby and things like this. You don't make big decisions on the pitch. You just generally toss the coin, call it right, call it wrong, introduce your players to the dignitaries and get on with it and be an example.
Now, you're a tall fella, and you talked about that particular incident where you got hurt. Heading the ball, and you said sometimes heading the ball back as much as 50, 60 yards. I mean, when you were training in those days, how many headers would you be sort of doing in training?
Well, they say now with the Premier League, their protocol on heading is like 10 headers a week, 10 like forced headers. So headers, the ball's travelled more than 35 yards. So it's 10 headers a week. We used to do training for an hour, 60 minutes, and we used to head 10 balls probably every 30 seconds. So you think an hour's training, how many balls, how many thousand balls do we have to head? And in those days, it wasn't quite the leather balls with the laces, but it was balls that were still quite heavy and out of shape, training balls and all this kind of thing as well. So, yeah. And I'm at an age now when you sort of, I'm 63 now, I think it's 63.6 when you start to show signs of dementia. So, hang on. I seem to forget where I live and all that sort of thing. But I can't make fun of it because it is a very, very serious matter.
So many well-known footballers have suffered from dementia. You wonder how many lesser-known figures.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot not reported. I mean, when you've got concussion in our day, even now coming up to nowadays in the leagues, a lot of people don't report having concussion. They just get back out there and play because their wages mean so much. When you're top stars, it's everything. So you have the protocols to follow, and I think that's right. Sports science now is absolutely brilliant. So you got to look after the players because these are valuable commodities. But it's because work wasn't done before that I think like Head for Change on part of that as well.
Yeah.
The campaigning and you've got families that are devastated because there's early onset dementia for footballers. Look at the England World Cup squad of '66. A lot of them, virtually all of them, had dementia. And you don't want to see your heroes and people like you don't see anybody like that. And as family members, you're going to struggle to look after them because footballers in those days didn't have the money. The family certainly haven't got the money. So there has been proved now that it does affect your brain. The only way that you can find it out really is when people die. Then you can have a look. It follows on from America. America was really poor when the gridiron and the clashes there.
Yeah.
They've got their act together, and hopefully now the authorities can get their act together.
Very, very well said. And Terry, still living in Suffolk, still supporting Ipswich.
Yep, come on, you Blues.
Lending a hand to the under-21s, I understand.
I was.
Yep.
But I'm a fan now. And
You're a fan?
I love it. And I go along, and it's just... I go to Portman Road and I walk in the entrance, get on the terraces, and I have a tingle every time. It's the best place in the world.
Well, I tell you what, Terry Butcher, you are absolutely Ipswich man, and thank you for joining me.